Welcome to Online Sports Talk. Today, I'm going to go over my very first mock draft. It is a no trades first round mock draft. This was done before free agency, so things may have changed based on what teams did in the first day of open tampering. I obviously will do another one of these in about a week. I'll do some more focused ones for just the Detroit Lions and things like that. We're going to have some fun with this leading up to the NFL draft. I'm really excited about it, and I can't wait. So without further ado, let's just jump into it. As you can see here, obviously Panthers already traded up to number 1 by the time I did this. I think they have their sights set on a quarterback. Now, it's easy to say that it's one of two guys. I've seen some mocks by pretty reputable sources saying possibly 3 guys there. And the 3 guys I've seen is Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, and Anthony Richardson. I personally think that Bryce Young is going to be the best of the 3. And so that's why I had the Panthers taking him. But I would not be surprised to see them take CJ Stroud either. I would be surprised if I saw them trade up to number 1 and take Anthony Richardson because I just do not see it. There are a lot of games at Florida where he had 0 touchdowns, an interception or 2. And so that is my concern with Anthony Richardson. Obviously, he's an athletic freak. He is probably going to be the new prototypical type of quarterback of the future, as more teams implement run pass options and really play off of having athletic big quarterbacks. So again, I think Anthony Richardson probably fits into what the NFL is moving towards, but I just think Bryce Young and CJ Stroud are better, with the edge going to Bryce Young. Obviously, the Texans need a quarterback. They traded Deshaun Watson a couple years ago for a haul. And I think that's what they're going to do. I think they're going to take CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud, while he is athletic, he does not run much. In fact, when you saw him starting to run a little bit against Georgia, he actually looked pretty good. But he is a pocket passer. That's what you should expect from CJ Stroud. And as a Michigan fan, and part of the Partnership for a Buckeye-Free America, let's get CJ Stroud far into the South. Take him away, Houston. All right. Now, the next pick, I think this could be a monster pick. The Arizona Cardinals go defense. Obviously, they have Kyler Murray. They have some things there. So I don't think they're going to go quarterback. But Will Anderson Jr., off the edge, he's going to play with a hand in the dirt a lot. I see him kind of being like a Khalil Mack. I don't know if he'll ever pan out to be as good as Khalil Mack, but I think he could play a very similar role to that for the Cardinals, being indoors down in Arizona. I don't think that'll make a difference to his career, but I think he will be a solid player down there. Next up, the Colts really need a quarterback. I debated going with Will Levis here. Because I think Will Levis probably has a better chance to succeed in the NFL than Anthony Richardson, in my opinion. But Anthony Richardson has so many things there that I think make him the better pick here. So I did go Anthony Richardson for this one. Next up, the Seahawks. I have them taking Tyree Wilson. Going with an edge, I think makes a lot of sense. A few years back when the Seahawks had good edge rushers as well as good corners, they were a really good defense. So I could see them going something like this, and I got them Tyree Wilson. Trying to stay away from Jalen Carter, with the idea that he might be out for the chunk of next year, depending on how this legal stuff goes. So I have them avoiding him just based on that. I had the Lions taking Jalen Carter. I think the Lions, especially now, right? When I did this, I didn't know what they were going to do in free agency. And honestly, it just makes more sense to me now. Even more sense. They've taken 2 corners. I know a lot of people a few days ago thought the Lions were going to take a corner, whether it was Gonzalez, Witherspoon at number 6. But if Jalen Carter is there, I think they jump on it. And To me, because they have 2 first-round picks, I think they view it a little bit as having a possible luxury pick here. And Jalen Carter is that guy. I don't think there's a problem with his character. I actually think he seems like a fine human being. He did what a lot of us have done in our early 20s and late teens, and he went racing. And, his friend got into a car accident and died. And it's unfortunate. It really sucks. I do hope that he learns from that, and it did make him mature. And I believe it does. I bet you he's going to feel far worse than any of you guys watching this, and I don't think there's character issues there. I heard someone try to say that he, lacked the work ethic needed. Dude's a beast. Like, I don't know. I find it hard to believe he lacks the work ethic to be an all-pro in the NFL. So Jalen Carter turns this defense around. Like, we already found some edge rushers last year, and we've got leaders on defense, and we've got just some boys over there right now. You got on the defensive line, Kaminsky re-signed today, which is great. Hutchinson, you got Houston from a SWAC school that just is amazing. He didn't play a ton, but he got a lot of production in his play. You still have Pascal, who was he was good in college. He was a leader in college. He can play, the 3 technique. So again, I think our defensive line with Jalen Carter is solid, man. With that, and if the Lions pass on Jalen Carter, I will be upset. I really will. I can't imagine, unless Bryce Young falls, because Bryce Young I would definitely take. If the Lions had an opportunity to take Bryce Young, let him sit a year behind Goff or 2 behind Goff, then fine. But otherwise, if Jalen Carter's there, they better take Jalen Carter. If Jalen Carter's not there, I'm not 100% sure who I would take. Number 7, I have the Raiders taking an offensive tackle in Skoronski. I really like Skoronski out of Northwestern. I'm not sure if he can play guard or not. If he could, maybe the Lions could go with that and solidify their offensive line. Right now, there's a hole in right guard, so because I think Vaitai is still there for another year, but yeah. I have the Falcons staying home and going for Nolan Smith. Now, I know Nolan Smith is an edge according to this. Didn't he play linebacker too? I know at the combine he showed out like crazy, super fast, he was really good at the combine. So anyways, I think it's right there for them to take an edge. They need one. So I gave them Nolan Smith. Chicago Bears, I think, are still going to be looking for some weapons for Justin Fields. Why not go to his alma mater and bring in Jackson Smith and Jigba? I've heard people say that Jackson Smith and Jigba is probably one of the better wide receivers they've put into the NFL in the last couple of years. And so because of it, I have him here. Obviously, Garrett Wilson was a great one. They've got a lot of good receivers coming out of Ohio State. They all pretty much work. So the Bears taking a sure thing in their mind right there, it makes sense. They still need offensive line. With Skoronski gone on my board, it just seems like a good fit right there. The Eagles, I have taken Devin Witherspoon with Bradbury being gone, with possibly losing Darius Slay. Bring in a rookie who can hit, who can play ball. You plug him right in there to the starting spot and see what he can do. So Devin Witherspoon. Next up, I have the Titans going for a weapon. This is a guy that, as a Lions fan, if he fell to us, I wouldn't be mad if we took him. Big body wide receiver. I think he's 6'4". He can go up. If you watched the Big 12 championship game, he made some plays down the stretch. Against Michigan in the playoff, I don't remember if he did that much. I feel like he got a couple catches, but I don't recall him really. And I know TCU put up 50-some points. Nothing stands out to me that I remember, but I do know Quentin Johnston is a beast. And so, yeah, I have the Titans taking him there. If they keep Derrick Henry and they get Quentin Johnston there, That sets Malik Willis up this year to have a pretty good year, I think, because I think he's going to be starting there. I don't think they've signed any quarterbacks. So yeah, and I think Tannehill might be out. So yeah, Texans with their second pick, I believe. Yeah, so they had taken a quarterback. To me, when you are building a team and you are a bad team, I think you need a quarterback. I think you need a wide receiver, and I think you need an edge. Those three are huge to make sure that you're a solid team. Now, when you got a quarterback, taking a tackle to protect him is always a good idea. But why not go opposite side of the ball and improve your defense? Get an edge. Lucas Van Ness. He could be one of those guys that we look back in a few years and we say he's a superstar, arguably one of the best guys out of this draft. Iowa's defense was stellar, right? They pretty much held everybody to low scoring outputs in the Big Ten. So, he and Jack Campbell kept their team in it, even when their offense couldn't score most of the time. So, again, Lucas Van Ness, I got to have him there. Next up, I have the New York Jets taking Paris Johnson Jr., the tackle from Ohio State. If they get Aaron Rodgers, he's going to want them to keep him upright. So, get a tackle, protect him, and he'll be happy about that. Especially if he's bringing in a bunch of wide receivers that already go with the wide receivers. I mean, the Jets could be dangerous next year if they can keep Rodgers from running around everywhere. Because I really think Rodgers is going there, and I think it's hilarious. He's requesting Odell Beckham Jr., Randall Cobb, an aging wide receiver that is probably going to be 4th or 5th in the depth chart. Lazard, who's a big body receiver, I think that's solid, and that's going to go with what he already has there in Garrett Wilson. And, so I just think Rodgers is holding the Jets and the Packers hostage right now. And I'm loving it as a Lions fan. So, yeah. Feel bad for Jets fans because they need a quarterback and they probably could have made a move on somebody. Probably could have gotten someone like Derek Carr or, and I think if their defense is drastically improved, which they could have done if they spent resources there instead of having to worry about bringing in like a bunch of receivers when they already have solid receivers. But anyways, I digress. Next up, I have the Patriots going with defense, going for Myles Murphy, an edge rusher from Clemson. Patriots, I think the Patriot way back when they had Brady was always go for like offensive linemen and, defensive linemen. I think they took a couple linebackers like Gerard Mayo one year and some other guys. So, again, I think it just makes sense. Go for an edge, improve that defense, and see what you can do there. So, next up, I have the Packers taking a tight end in Dalton Kincaid out of Utah. The best tight end off the board. He would help a Jordan Love who is going to need something because, frankly, let's be honest. The Packers, they're not going to be good. They're just not. I think their defense is going to be their strength. Obviously, they got some young receivers, which could be great. They've got some all right offensive linemen. Got an all right running back. You give Jordan Love possibly a go-to weapon, a guy that maybe he can build up some trust with and some rapport with. That could be his Travis Kelce, right? I don't know. But yeah, Dalton Kincaid. Next up, Washington Commanders lost Heineke. Carson Wentz was a failed experiment last year. So let's give them Will Levis. At the time of this, I didn't realize Heineke was going to sign with Atlanta. But, it works out because I didn't have Atlanta taking a quarterback. I know they lost Mariota. But yeah, so Commanders with Will Levis. They have a rookie quarterback there. We'll see how it goes. They got some good weapons, good receivers and stuff. So that could be nice. Next up, Steelers need to replace a corner. Christian Gonzalez, put him in there. If he plays, half as good as what I've been hearing he might, then it'll be a huge get and they won't regret losing Cam Sutton, right? Cam Sutton's great, and I know a lot of Steelers fans were really upset that we picked him up. So if they could get Christian Gonzalez and if he plays really well, they'll be pretty happy there. Next up, Lions improved their defense drastically with Jalen Carter in this mock. They've signed Derek Montgomery, as I found out earlier, and he's awesome. He's like what he's tied for first with broken tackles or something like that with Bradley Chubb. A lot of broken tackles, and he played for the Bears, who had an abysmal offensive line. They were stacking the box because they knew that they had nobody to throw to, and he played well. If you look at his highlights. So, anyways, with that, because DeAndre Swift is still in a contract year, I still think the Lions need a running back. And what you do is you go out and get Bijan Robinson. By getting Bijan Robinson, he probably shares the load with the other two guys. This might ensure that Swift does not get injured and is out for a long time. You could probably use Swift as a third down back, a guy who can catch the ball out of the backfield, can run. I'm not sure about his pass blocking skills, but he can definitely run well. Definitely be used in delays. Can catch. He can do a lot. So add Bijan Robinson. He can then take off the load as well. So you don't have to give them anything crazy. You can give them like 10 carries a game between the two of them each. So maybe at the low point they share 15 total carries between the two of them. Montgomery will get another 15 himself. I think the Lions' run game could be stellar, and we know Dan Campbell loves to run. You still got, St. Brown, and you still got Jameson Williams, and your receiving core is all there except for Chark, and Chark was good. Again, I told you guys if Quentin Johnston fell, I'd be fine with that too. I'd still take Bijan over him, but Lions are just going to need a big body red zone receiver, and their offense will be good other than a guard. So I like that there. Tampa Bay going with the combine favorite, Kalijah Cansey out of Pitt, who a lot of people say basically coming out of college is Aaron Donald 2.0. He is pretty much the same from a size and combine numbers point of view. Production in college, he is basically Aaron Donald again. And they come from the same college, so it makes sense. Next up, a guy that I thought about for the Lions that I think would be amazing, Osiris Torrance out of Florida, guard. Lions need a guard right now. If you got him, you would have 4 out of your 5 offensive linemen are first-round draft picks. Jonah Jackson, though, the one who was, I think, a third-round pick, he was a former Pro Bowler. So you would have maybe the best offensive line in the NFL if the Lions did it. But I have the Seahawks doing it, so that is not possible in this mock. But if he's there and the Lions do it, I wouldn't be surprised. That just makes your run game so much better. So I actually would love it. So I love the big meaty men banging on other big meaty men. And quote that if you want to. Next up, the Chargers go with a weapon for Justin Herbert in Zay Flowers. Great receiver out of Boston College. What more can I say, right? Next up, Baltimore Ravens need a weapon. With Zay Flowers gone, they go Jordan Addison out of USC. He's a guy who I think is really, really good. Really, really talented wide receiver. He had a Heisman Trophy winner thrown to him last season. I mean, yeah, good player. Next up, Minnesota Vikings desperately need help. They're losing a few guys this year in the offseason. Their secondary, one of the worst. I know they won a lot of games last year, but they gave up a lot of points. So, yeah, if you can stop the pass, I haven't taken Joey Porter Jr. It could be a huge, huge pick for them. Next up, the Jaguars taking safety Brian Branch out of Alabama. I really like him. There's a lot of guys I like in this draft. Honestly, the more I dig into this draft, I like so many guys. There's a lot of guys I like at the front of the draft, and there's a lot of guys I like that are going to be there in the later rounds. There's that 2nd through 4th round where I kind of am like, meh, but there's a lot of guys later in the draft that I think will be there that I actually like. So, yeah. Anyways, next up, a guy that I think anybody would love to have, and that's Jack Campbell, linebacker from Iowa. Just a good football player, smart, good football player. So I have the Giants taking him, and he will be the leader on that defense. Next up, the Dallas Cowboys. I have them taking Brian Breesy. I, for the longest time, actually thought the Lions should take him at 6. I think depending on what we do at 6, if Jalen Carter's there and we get him, obviously you don't go for another interior defensive lineman. If we don't get Jalen Carter at 6, then I would love to see us somehow get Brian Breesy later on. I really would. I think we need interior defensive line help, and I am a fan. I really like him out of Clemson. So, yeah. Next up, Buffalo going with the corner, Deonte Banks. After that, and yeah, maybe even they should be taking a linebacker. I didn't realize they were going to lose some guys, but man, either way, Deonte Banks is there. Cincinnati Bengals, I have them going with a tackle, Broderick Jones, out of Georgia, another freak athlete out of Georgia. Anyways, I mean, Bengals need to keep Burrow up, and you got to get some help there, guys. You got to. I mean, the Bengals are easily one of the top 4 or 5 best teams in the NFL right now. And if they just get just a little bit of help there, and then obviously defense, I think. But if they get a little bit of help on the offensive line, I think they'll be really good. Next up, I have the Saints taking one of my favorite players in this draft, and that's Mazi Smith, defensive lineman out of Michigan. Obviously, I love Mazi. I've seen him going in the second round to different teams. It would be kind of cool if the Lions got him, not going to lie, but he won't fall to us in the second round. And I don't really, if we're getting, depending on what we do earlier in the draft, I still like Breesy more than Mazi. So, yeah, I'm probably going to eat those words one day. But, yeah, I have the Saints taking him. Next up, the Eagles. I have them taking an edge, B.J. Ojolari. They already get a corner in my mock. Why not give them an edge rusher? I believe Brandon Graham is gone or is going to be gone. So they need to get somebody out there. And, they get a little bit younger on defense. I don't know if it's probably going to be a little bit of a drop-off for a year or so in production out of those two guys compared to what they had. But it could also be upgrades over time, Again, love Brandon Graham, Michigan man. So he unfortunately played when our team was not very good. But yeah, and then to round out the first round, I have the Kansas City Chiefs going with an edge out of Iowa State. Possibly a very underrated player, Will McDonald IV. Kansas City knows how to find guys. They got Karlaftis, who was really good for them last year. And a lot of us here in the Big Ten area, we knew Karlaftis was going to be good. There were some people up here who thought Karlaftis was better than Hutchinson going into last year's draft. But yeah, all I got to say, Karlaftis was really good. Kansas City still has a good scouting department down there. Andy Reid knows what he's doing. There's a few there's a few front offices who really know what they're doing when it comes to drafting or signing guys. And Andy Reid, definitely with his staff and everything, he knows what he's doing down there. He knows how to build a team. And so it's one of those things where you just trust him. He could take whatever he wants right there, and you just trust him, And historically, there have been other guys that were kind of like that too. Like a Bill Parcells could turn any team around. It felt like Jimmy Johnson could turn any team around. Bill Cowher was kind of the same mold with what he was able to do. Mike Holmgren, and I actually think the Lions got a front office staff that knows what they're doing. You got John Dorsey, who was with the Chiefs when they brought in Andy Reid. He also is the one that built the Browns team that was good a few years ago. Obviously drafted Baker Mayfield that one year. But John Dorsey is, in our front office now. Brad Holmes helped draft a lot of the guys over in LA that were really good, like Aaron Donald and stuff like that. So again, I think we've got really good front office staff. As Lions fans, we should be excited to see what we're doing. He's missed on some free agency things in the last few years. When he first got here, a couple wide receivers didn't work out, Perriman and, Tyrell Williams, I think that was his name. Didn't really work out for us. So he's kind of missed on a couple, but he didn't offer crazy contracts either. And you can see that with how he's done things here in Detroit over the last few years. Shorter deals, less guaranteed money compared to other teams. He doesn't overpay for anybody to get them to Detroit. And that's part of building that culture, And again, this year you're seeing him starting to spend some money. Detroit's going to be good, man. I'm sipping the Kool-Aid, or as others say, skip the Kool-Aid. I'm sipping that Honolulu Blue moonshine, So we're going to be good. So I love it. I think that the Lions have finally given us a front office you can trust, and some of those moves I'm really excited about. So with that, this is my first round mock draft. We are going to be doing a free agency recap on Friday of all the guys the Detroit Lions have signed, what this means for them going forward. Heck, maybe we'll do another mock draft just from a Lions point of view, and I'll still share with you some of the other key picks just for fun. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. I love doing this stuff. I love talking football. If you want, you can follow our Facebook page, Online Sports Talk, over on Facebook. You can follow us on Twitter. All these links are down in the description. Please go check this stuff out. Let's talk sports, man. I love talking sports. This is Online Sports Talk. See you guys next time.